Bearcat Bounce Podcast, back at it again. Happy Monday. It is a Monday following another full week of Bearcat coverage. Bearcats improving, Bearcats getting their off-season prep, off-season work in. More prep going on across the campus when it comes to different buildings, this and that. And then, of course, it's another week that passes where Aaron's favorite couple in the world, Bearcat couple, if you will, again, steals the spotlight on the weekend. But that wasn't the big show of the weekend. That was not the main thing we're going to be discussing on tonight's pod. No. Instead, it's a Monday where I'm going to welcome on two of my guys, two of my pals that are always here, that are always with the BBP. One, sadly, is on vacation. I'm sure everyone can guess who that one probably is, but one will return from his little soiree down there in the beautiful city of Orlando, Florida. But we're going to welcome on a very, very special guest for this Monday. It's a chance to welcome on a guy who brought home a little hardware this weekend, if you will, a little bit of a trophy that a lot of institutions wish that they would have. That's right. Without further ado, I'm going to welcome everyone on. Welcome on the squad, the crew, tonight's crowd. It is going to be, without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and, of course, the Assistant Director of NIL and Innovation, Eddie Taylor. Gentlemen, how are we?
What's up, Bearcat Nation? Can you not see the trophy? Okay, there we go. What's up, Bearcat Nation?
Ooh, that's crispy.
This is really heavy, so I'm going to put it down.
You're a power. You were a power lifter.
Yeah, I mean, I can hold it, but it's still heavy.
There we go.
It's a nice looking paperweight.
Yeah. Only the best paperweight out there. Right there. I mean, you're fresh off the Institution of the Year award at the third annual NIL Summit this past weekend. I mean, golly, there's no better how are we than the one that we just gave you, Eddie Taylor. But man, let's pass it around real fast. Chad, Aaron, Chad, Eddie, if you didn't know, Chad was in Orlando over the past week and a half. So we
I was not taking an unofficial visit to UCF.
Aaron claims that was
Aaron's slander campaign. Although it might have been a little better than how our week went in volleyball. So it's a rough one. We did not have a good week at National Sprint.
No. Was it what was it, 16 in a row or something that I heard? Or was it 6 in a row?
We lost 13 sets in a row.
13 sets in a row. Okay.
Six games in a row. It was a humbling experience for the young ladies. But this is why you get on a team with people you like and people you get along with, because we didn't murder each other back at the hotel. We still managed to have a good time. I rode roller coasters for the first time in years.
Oh,
I rode Velocicoaster, which is that's a roller coaster. I don't know if you guys are roller coaster people. That is a roller coaster. It is aggressive.
What's the seat like?
Aggressive.
Are you laying down forward? Are you sitting down? Is it
no? You're sitting down.
Ordeal?
You're sitting down. It So I liken. We're gonna go on a tangent here for just a second. What they have done to roller coasters since my time riding roller coasters, probably 10, 12 years ago, when you're on a flat stretch, I guess they have these magnets that they've invented now. I liken them to mushrooms in Mario Kart, because you hit the magnets and you go from fast to like you look like somebody just hit the accelerator in a Lamborghini. You go from like this is fast to so yeah.
Didn't that used to be the Hulk? I think that ride used to be the Hulk.
And it's very no. The Hulk is still there. Velocicoaster is like their newest, biggest, baddest deal at Universal, and it was a fun ride, but it is aggressively fast.
What's that? What is it? Outer Limits at Kings Island? That one that goes like 0 to 60 and 3 seconds?
I would. Everybody says that Velocicoaster is like one of the 3 best roller coasters in the world. Hey. I didn't ride it last year. I was like, I'll give it a shot this year. It was good. And then we rode the new Harry Potter Hagrid whatever ride. That didn't have the loops and the twists. That was just like fast. Like that thing, I think does like 78 miles an hour.
Did you get a butterbeer?
No, we didn't get a butterbeer this year. Did last year. It had already been one of those things we had checked off the list. Kelsey said she wanted one, and then we walked past the butterbeer thing, and she was ready to go to Velocicoaster, so she didn't give a shit about anything.
The line is long for the butterbeer.
Yeah, but overall, it was a good week. We had a good time, in spite of the fact that there was a lot of really good volleyball teams that we played against this year. So we didn't play against any of the Puerto Rican teams, which those are the ones that dominated us last year. The Puerto Rican girls can play.
Okay, but
instead
you face the Americans, and they still gave you.
We played one team. I swear, they're 13 and under. They look like they had 4 Division I athletes. They were like 5'10", like developed shoulder muscles. You know you're always in trouble, Brent.
Yeah.
When they don't have sleeves, like when you're playing a team with the it's like a running, like almost like a running outfit instead of like the volleyball with sleeves.
Right.
If they don't have sleeves, they are serious. They mean business.
Yep.
We played one of those. It's like they don't belong. They should not be in our division of this tournament. They call them trophy chasers in volleyball.
Right. Yeah.
Where they go to nationals and they play 2 divisions down and kick everybody's ass. I've got some notes for Molly. Next time I see Molly, there's a couple 13-year-olds that she needs to start recruiting.
Yeah, I was going to say you're out here on a recruiting visit for Molly. That'll be
essentially, yeah.
That's a little
doing undercover work for Molly.
There we go. So Universal. How long did you get to wait in line for these roller coasters? Is that another?
So the buddy, the BCJ member that hooked us up with a pass.
You're right.
He hooked it up with Fast Pass, so you just Fast Pass it.
Oh yeah, that's the only way to go. Because I mean those lines get a little. Well,
the line for the Harry Potter one, there's no Fast Pass with that one yet because this is the second year it's been open.
Okay.
So no Fast Pass. That one was a little over an hour from when we got into the line till we rode the ride. The Fast Pass ones were like 15, 20 minutes. Boom.
Right. And if you're afraid to ride roller coasters, go out there and challenge yourself to ride the roller coasters, right, Eddie? Every day, do something that scares you, right, Eddie? I think that's something that you preach out there.
I tell my athletes that they freak out over social media, and the story from this weekend, we took Jalen Hunt and Evan Prater, two of our great football guys. And every summit, I take all of our student athletes to get on this really big Ferris wheel in Olympic Park in Atlanta. And as you can imagine, they were freaking out in this huge Ferris wheel, and we're dangling over Atlanta. I have photos and videos I can send you guys. And so when we get up to the very top and it stops and it's wobbling, I look to them and I go, "So is posting on the internet so scary now?" And they were like, "No, I guess you're right." Because I feel like that's the only way that, I think a lot of the reason we won this award is that I take these borderline extreme approaches to getting across to them. But I did 2 or 3 videos when I was on vacation. I subjected myself to doing things that I was horrified of. So I went like sky bridge. I walked on like a bridge that was 100 feet in the air and like 3 football fields long. It was horrifying. A spider fell on me. I almost cried. I went tubing in Belize. I did all these things that would scare me normally, but I was able to then come back and say, okay, like, nothing is scary. Like a social media post to an 18-year-old feels like those things. So being able to say, like, trust me, you would rather post than do those things. And I think it really resonated with a lot of them. And we've seen a nice uptick in our athletes sharing their stories and getting some content out there.
Eddie, if you'd ever like me to come in and talk to the student athletes about how not to be scared of posting on social media, I'm available.
I might need to.
Don't tell John.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the content is good content. Good. There's such thing as bad content. So I guess probably maybe just focus on only the positive content that you put out there on social media chat. You know what I'm afraid of though? I'm afraid of when like my car really starts to act up. Like when my car's like, leaking fluid or something, or like, I got like something I need fixed in the car. Right, Aaron? when I have something going on, like issues with my vehicle, the only thing I can do to really ease that fear is head over to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Danco Joe will hook you up. Shouts out to Danco Joe. Got to give him his love. This is the Danco Transmission BBP podcast. So shouts to Danco. Head over there. Get $10 off your next oil change. 10% off your next fixing. Aaron, real fast, how was the weekend? Eddie, we're going to dive right back into this, but I have to say it, Eddie. The biggest Taylor Swift fan you will ever know is the man down there next to you, Aaron Smith. He loves Taylor Swift. Talks about her every single week, week in and week out. And this is one of the biggest weekends that she's had, inviting her boyfriend, Bearcat alum, Travis Kelce, up on stage with her in her London concert. I mean, it's just a phenomenal weekend for everything Bearcats, including Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Aaron, how are we, sir?
I hate that you had to include me in all of that.
Yeah.
I hate that. I'm fine. Just let's move on.
I like that. Let's move on.
Wow.
Eddie, break down this weekend, man. This was a huge thing to bring home a little bit of hardware for. I'm just going to read what they had in the tweet that they sent out. Cincinnati is this year's Institutional Program of the Year. This award recognizes an institution that has shown exceptional commitment to supporting its student athletes and maximizing their NIL opportunities through a combination of education, resources, and industry-leading innovation. Wow. I mean, that is, in today's landscape of college sports, it's harder to find, outside of national championships when on the field and on the court and different things of that sort. This is one of the biggest hardware that any school could take home. And I break down this weekend, man, and kind of what went into it and truly what this award means to, not only the university, but also the student athletes.
This weekend, it's a lot. So the NIL Summit is 2.5 days, really. Friday is the award ceremony. Saturday is just programming, education, workshops. And then Sunday is like a breakdown of, I think I said that backwards. Saturday's the awards, Sunday's programming, Monday today is just like some really long form sitting programming for admins and student athletes, and then you just head back to your schools. It's a lot and a little all at the same time. It's really impactful though. I haven't had a single student athlete come back the same. I'm going to share a story later about one of our football players that had a private account, never posted anything. He's posted like 4 reels already. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a great event. I'm lucky to be able to have, JC sign off on me taking student athletes every year. And I think that flexibility to let me and them go is a part of the reason we won, because it's one thing, they hear me yap at them all the time about what to do, but to go meet with other student athletes, to meet with like the Michigans, the Ohio States, or like the smaller schools, I always tell them when they go to these things, like, go talk to the running back from Michigan, but go talk to the swimmer from that D3 school that's doing well. Like, you can probably glean more from them than you can from, the big blue chip person.
Mm-hmm. Just to clarify for people, this does not mean that you have the biggest NIL war chest. It is not an award for, having $10 million in the NIL bank. What it is an award for that I think is very important as this landscape changes is that Cincinnati is working with their student athletes to have their student athletes prepared for what's available to them. That Cincinnati is doing the best job of taking the information coming in and then relaying that in a effective, let's call it what it is, profitable way for the student athletes. It's not just a matter of we've collected the most money from our NIL group. It is the way Cincinnati is handling the education and the activation that exists in the NIL space.
Yeah, that's it.
Nailed it. All right. See you guys later. I'm out.
Good job, Chad. Have a good night.
So in your landscape, Eddie, is there a better recognition of the work that you've put into what you do on a day-to-day? Like, I don't know if this means more to you than helping an athlete out in getting an NIL deal, or if it's right up there neck and neck. I mean, obviously recognition for what you do as a personal achievement is a little different than what you do helping somebody out and making money, but just kind of curious where this ranks in that regard.
This is my Heisman Trophy. This is my CFP. This is my Bolitnikov. This is my everything. But I don't think this award belongs to me per se. I educate them. I help and I guide them, and they come to me, and we talk. They're always in the lab, which is what we call my office. But I said it during my speech. I think this award belongs to student athletes because at the end of the day, they're one, trusting me, but also two, they're the ones doing the deliverables. They're the ones going out. They're the ones being vulnerable. Am I going to tell them the most optimal, efficient thing to do? Am I going to try to put them on the fast track to success? Yes, but at the end of the day, they're doing it. And we don't get this award without the athletes coming to the education sessions. We don't get this award without them going out in the community to do the strategic brand alignment that we talk about. We don't get this award without all the we actually don't get this award without the coaches encouraging the athletes to also not being afraid to build their brands. I think a big reason, 99.9% of this goes to the athlete, but I think our special 1% that we have is that our leadership top down really cares and really allows me to frankly just kind of run and be flexible, because I think a lot of other programs are really rigid, right? They want to, have control, and obviously we want to have control too, but that's how In Her Likeness, our big female athlete event, was born. I saw the female athletes needed something that the other athletes didn't need, so I was able to just flex and put it together. Cunningham always talks about having a radical acceptance of NIL, and what that means for me is NIL changes every day. I went on a cruise for a week and I came back and there was new rules, and I had to flex and change with it. And I think that our program is built around the student athletes, like Impact NIL. They tell me they want more financial literacy, I'm going to go get it. Or if they tell me they don't need it, I'll scale it back. We'll have some, but I'll scale it back. Whatever they want, they get. I always poll them. I ask them hey, is this working? Do you like it? I think recently we've had a lot more questions about agents. So we'll add more agent education in there. And they're we're starting to understand NIL 101. You don't have to give me the backstory. July 1, we got it. So I can pull that back, put more there's more hey, we got the content's important stuff now. Now we want to move into the how do we go cross platform? How do we utilize digital platforms to make passive income, TikTok Shop, Instagram, stuff like that, the next level of content creation. And once you're doing that, it's really hard not to get NIL deals because brands just want to integrate themselves into your brand. So like I said, this is the most important award that someone in my space can get, but not my award. It's the Student Athletes Award. It's Cunningham's award. It's the coaches awards. It's the sports supervisors. It's everyone that allows the athletes to just come in and just be themselves and build their brands.
A quick follow-up. You're about 2 months removed from being announced as one of the finalists. How realistic did you think it was for you to come out on top of this thing?
I have said for a very long time that we have the best NIL department in the country because I've seen really good NIL departments and I know what we do. And I feel like bar for bar, we do the most. And I know we do the most because I do the most. I probably spend more time with my student athletes than any other admin in the country. And that's not to boast because it's honestly not very efficient. It's not efficient, but it's effective. And so, could I be working on big, longer projects? I could, but that's where I can lean on John, or I can lean on my direct report Ben, or they allow me the flexibility to be very athlete facing and just help the athletes what they need. And it always works. It's very effective. And because of that, I kind of knew we were going to win. I think, to be candid, my main worry was the voting was on institutional initiatives, but I wasn't exactly sure what that meant. And I was a little worried it was going to come deal for deal. And when you look at it, we have a lot of deals. Like we're in Cincy, like we have Gillette, Alta Fiber, TQL. We go down the list. We did a bunch of deals, but when you look at the schools we're nominated against, they have Olympians, they have 5 stars, they have all these different like things that we just don't have. Like we just don't have yet.
Mhm.
But the play that I was able to make once we got announced, I was like, okay, the storytelling here is that we don't have these things yet. We're keeping up, and in some cases, we're ahead. And so the fact that, not that our athletes are like bad or anything, but like like on paper, this is a social media thing. So like followers to followers, showing that like hey, like our freshman phenom Juliet and our freshman offensive guard Evan are both at PNG in the community, educating our student athletes are educating PNG on NIL. Like, where else are they doing that? Or in her likeness, our collective is partnering with a corporate partner and supporting our student athletes, female student athletes, which isn't normal. I still don't think any other collective's done that in the scale that we've done it. And like all these things that we're doing, because I'm able to listen and then flex, and then we're just crazy enough to do it at Cincinnati. So yeah, I knew we should win, but I was just a little worried about the whole I didn't know how they were going to judge it, is I guess, but it all worked out.
It absolutely worked out. You kind of were alluding to this in what you were just saying, but your quote when you said we don't have 5 stars running around, we have 5-star personalities, we have 5-star brands. Is what's kind of your approach when hey, we don't have Donovan Edwards at Michigan who is just going to bring in every single NIL deal that's out there, right? We don't have the Cooper Flag at Duke or things along those lines, but you do have all these people that are able to really pick up the ebbs and flows, if you will, and listen to what you're saying and kind of roll with that. What do you see as kind of a positive, and then some obstacles that you go through when you're trying to tell these guys, hey, listen, you can do the same thing that everyone else is doing? So
the cool thing about NIL is that you don't need to be good at your sport to be good at NIL. I know that's a crazy thought, but NIL is just influencer marketing. You like Dante and Dixie D'Amelio are doing the same thing. One is just a student athlete. Like
right.
That when you think about it like that, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So you can be the best player on your team and get no NIL deals, and you can be the worst player on your team and have 1 million followers. It's up to you and like how you promote yourself and your brand. And I think the reason why having a limited amount of like highly ranked recruits hurts isn't because it's we play in the Big 12, we play on the biggest stage, we're the first group of 5 team to make CFP. Like we've been very popular, we've been successful. We might have the coolest coach in college basketball, but like we have all these things. Like we have a guy literally named Jizzle, but I think it's more of a mental thing. A lot of NIL is mental. So when you come in and you're a 5-star, it's like, where are my NIL deals? I'm a 5-star. When you come in and you're a 1-star, but then you become an All-American, or you do these things, you're like, all right, well, but I'm still. And so a lot of my job is just being like, no, listen to me. You have a 5-star brand. I don't care what you do on that field. I always tell them, I don't care what you do on the field. If you're a starter and you don't play, or if you're a starter or you don't play, I don't care. Come in the lab and we're going to work. We're going to go through the same process and we'll flex as needed. So I think that's the biggest hiccup. Obviously, when you have an athlete come in of a high caliber, they bring in this hype train, right? They've been on all these official visits. They're a 5-star. On3 wrote some article about them. They have 50,000 followers. So it's easier as an NIL director to be like, okay, go through the process, because their process is going to look like a microwave versus some of our athletes' process will look like a crock pot. But personally, crock pot food comes out better in the long run. So I think that's the biggest hurdle. It's just getting them going. The other thing too is just, I know a lot of people don't talk about this because they're not in the chair that I sit in, but when you get in the world of NIL, there's a lot of things that aren't like, I try to have as much direct effect on them getting a deal as possible, like as much as I legally can. Like I really do. Like I'm trying to get them in the best position to be successful. But at the end of the day, you know, we have our amazing corporate sponsors and they work with us, but you just have a bigger brand if you're at USC. It's just like a world, it's just bigger. So there's just more things coming your way. So, or, you know, one of these schools that's like a blue chip school, right? Miami, doesn't really matter. So it could look like a lot's going on, and nothing against USC, but it could look like a lot's going on when it's really just, you know, a normal day for USC. And so my biggest, you know, struggle with Cincy is just being like, no, like everything, we have everything we need here. We have the city, we have the support, we have the fans, and just getting the student athletes to believe in themselves and see that like when you come, I recruit a lot, and like when you come here, this is it. Like you don't need to go anywhere. Like Kroger down the street, P&G down the street, mate, like we got it. It's just it's up to you to activate on it. Like you be the 5-star brand that makes them go, oh yeah, we need her, we need him. So it's more of a, I don't see it as an obstacle. I see it more as a challenge, and it's something that we you know, we hadn't worked with P&G on NIL until Juliet did the deal with Gillette. So knock that one off. I hope we do many more deals with P&G. But it's just a hurdle that we have to get over, and you know, it'll happen.
Yeah, P&G's got like 852 products that you can be endorsed with, so plenty of room to work with them. Another quote that you had tweeted out was that you were unbelievably proud of all your athletes for buying into the process. It was sometimes embarrassing, uncomfortable, and vulnerable, but they fought on regardless. Curious if you have any stories, without necessarily dropping names, of embarrassing, uncomfortable, or vulnerable.
I have a lot. I think so. You guys might not know this, but the most tantalizing thing for an 18-year-old is posting an Instagram reel. TikTok is fine. I don't know what the mental disconnect is, but TikTok is fine because TikTok is just like spam, right? TikTok is just whatever. But Instagram is like the Apple store of the 18 to 24-year-old demographic. And so when you go to the Apple store, you know, it's crisp, it's pristine. Like you're going to get great. Like it has to be the Apple. Their Instagram is their Apple store. I guess their TikTok is Dollar Tree or something. I don't know. I guess that's the best way to describe it. But so I know as someone that studies like influencer marketing every day, and I'm like, okay, like right now, these two platforms in a war, and Reels is the best way for you to like virality. This is your best shot. And thinking of student athletes' time, like I want them to take the best shots, the knockout punches every time. So I'm like, let's not post 37 Instagram stories. Let's just post one reel a week, which is very manageable. I had a student athlete post her first reel, and she broke out in sweats, like sweat, because she was so nervous. And it was just a reel of her playing her sport and winning her sport. And she posted it, and she left my office, and she was like, "I'm so embarrassed." Like and she comes back like an hour later. She's like banging on my door. I was in the middle of Zoom. I'm like, "What's up?" And she's like, "I'm at 14K." And I was like, "Oh, it's crazy how that works, huh?" But yeah, so that doesn't always happen, but it's just a lot of putting yourself out there. I think we underestimate how like much social media has on the 14 to 18-year-old mental health, and like how much of their lives are just on there. And so when I tell them to like tell their story, like my biggest thing is like my students will come in and they'll tell me some amazing story. They're like, I just made U20s for Team USA. And I'm like, okay, I know that, but does the people that follow you know that?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, no. And I'm like, okay, well, it's your job to tell them. It's not our SID's job to tell your story. I mean, technically it is, but like as an influencer, it is your job to inform your fans of what's going on with you. And they're like, yeah, but who cares? And I was like, if they didn't care, they wouldn't follow you. And so just getting them to realize that and getting them to be vulnerable, and it's a lot, but when it works, and it's beautiful.
So I do want to dive into a little bit more kind of the program based things in a bit, but since we're kind of in this avenue right now, could you break me down on kind of like when a student athlete comes into you for the first time, inquiring on how to get an NIL deal and wanting to get an NIL deal, what kind of are the steps to the process that from that initial meeting with you to then the next steps and then kind of finalizing and finding the right way to go with them?
So the process is actually 4 phases, and each phase has like 1 to 4 levels of things you need to do depending on where you're at. Like I said, for example, some 5 stars come in, or 4 stars or 3 stars, whatever. They come in with agents. So I need to have an agent education session with them first before I can, just to make sure we're on the same page with everything. Or if you're, a walk-on and you come in and you don't know anything about anything, I can start from the process. But the very first thing I do, an athlete walks in, hey, I want to just learn about NIL. I ask them all the same question. I go, what are your core values and what do you want out of NIL? And then I do this test called the how much will it take to break you test.
Okay.
And what that is they'll tell me their core value is like friendship, right? That's a common one. And I'll go, okay, what's your dream NIL deal? And they'll be like, oh, you Nike. And I was like, okay. So when the Nike rep offers you $2 million, but you have to block your best friend because they don't fit Nike's image, like, what are you going to do? And it's like a real deep and it's like a real deep conversation we have. And they're like,
you want to meet my ex best friend?
Chad already pressed block. You already pressed block. That's easy.
They go back and forth and they have these like conversations with themselves. And I'm
there
like,
goes Brent.
And they're like, well, this will never happen. I was like, yeah, but it might. And we need to be ready. Like, we should start with the end in mind. And then, it's kind of an intense, 5-minute conversation. Then I kind of peel it back. I'm like, okay, what are your core values? Like, what are, and what do you want out of NIL? Because for me as an NIL director, every athlete wants something different. So a lot of athletes come in and they say they want, I just want deals. But that doesn't mean the same thing to everyone. I want deals could mean I need money to send home because I want to support my family. Or I want deals means I want a Bugatti because I just want a Bugatti. Or I want deals could mean I really like ice cream and graders is my dream deal. So getting them to really clearly articulate what they want out of the process helps them. And then from there, it's all pretty standardized. I have some NCAA stuff, and then I have some Eddie Taylor radical stuff that is crazy and no one else would do. But it's a pretty standard process. So far, my favorite stat that I have, and I hope this doesn't break, no one that has met with me more than 3 times, so the first 3 lessons in the process, does not have an NIL deal. I really don't want to take credit for that. That goes to all my student athletes. And I'm also not really sure because it's actually really funny. The second level of the process is getting your first deal, but all of our student athletes are ahead of the curve for some reason. I guess they're just amazing.
There we go.
I think why does UC not present on NIL and everything you do for the student athlete when the athlete comes in for official visits? It is part of the official visit process, right?
Yeah, I mean, with 1 recruit a day, it feels like.
So yeah, Matt, that is actually it came up. Jake Golday had an interview with a different outlet where he mentioned that Cincinnati doesn't they don't just talk about NIL, they actually give you ways to be successful in NIL. And
don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah, exactly. I imagine that came from the conversation he had on his official visit, which that's got to feel great for you that guys are relaying that information they're getting from you, and it is aiding them in making decisions.
I think too, so one, I love Jake. He's gonna be really good. Jake is also a Cincy Reigns athlete, and I think that a big thing that we have that a lot of other people don't have is that my collective isn't insane, and they listen to me, and they're great. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of things that I can't do just because of the rules, and there's a lot of things that they can do because there's really not any rules for them. And a lot of that could mean we're not going to do anything. We'll give them what they need to do. And Cincy Reigns does above and beyond to be a lot of the stuff that I can't do educationally wise, talk about, they will do because they have all these amazing former CEOs or current CEOs. Cincy Reigns is full of a bunch of geniuses, lawyers, Brian Fox, that they can help counsel them on these things.
Let's not call B Fox a genius. We don't need to get out over our skis too bad, Eddie.
I really though, like Jake is covered, like Jake and all the other athletes are covered 100% because what they need from me, they can get from me, and what they can't get from me, they can get from Cincy Reigns. And I really believe we're probably, if not the only one of like maybe 5 institutions that can really say that student athletes have that holistic support.
So
I love B Fox. I just like giving him a hard time. We go, B Fox dabbled in the media for a little while. He was a credentialed media member for a long time, and then he's worked his way up the ladder because that's what he does.
Even when he wasn't, he still came in for food.
Yeah.
Well, before Aaron got with BCJ, B Fox sat right next to me for every football game. So yeah, it was Aaron took B Fox's spot. So that's a good replacement, Aaron. Love you.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Did you know he's only like 40? The man looks 52 at least.
Yeah.
Eddie's like, I'm not. My name's Paul. I'm not saying a word about B Fox.
He's not touching.
I'm allowed to talk about B Fox because we're friends.
Yes.
And I like giving him a hard time. He does the same to me when I'm not around, so it's fine.
Hard time.
That doesn't mean you have to get involved, Eddie. I understand.
Oh, yeah, I'm sitting this one out.
Stone face too. He didn't even laugh at the jokes. He was like, not me. They ain't catching me on camera with a smile on my face.
No chance. No chance. Eddie, Chad, yeah.
How much did it change? You mentioned you came back from vacation and everything was different with things moving in-house, with revenue share coming. How much of this period right now is you learning everything that's happening and how to adjust and how to stay, ahead of the game?
So a big part of the NIL Summit is the administrative track, and we get like to sit with all the other me's at the other schools, and we get to chat. I got to sit and listen and chat with Charlie Baker while I was there this weekend. And right now, based on what President Baker said and what I've learned, a lot of the game is just a waiting game. I hate to say. We need to wait on courts, and we need to wait on the Department of Education and Title IX. I think the biggest outlying issue right now is Title IX, how we have to deal with that when it comes to rev share. So a lot of it, I wish I could have this really cool answer, like, yeah, I have this definitive plan, and I'm going to sit down with Cunningham on Tuesday, and we're going to have this. But the reality is I have to plan, and we all have to plan for 7 different realities. There could be a reality where we rev share 50-50. There could be a reality where things come in-house. There could be a reality where things go all, outside. So we have to plan for all of those things. And so what I've been doing is just thinking about how can I double down on what works? And then what are the problems that are going to come with this new landscape? And so, like, for me, my biggest thing is I want to make sure that our athletes are really, really educated on agents and managers and stuff like that, because with the new influx of money, I'm going to steal a quote from Jason Belger. NIL is like the biggest redistribution of wealth since welfare, like healthcare, Medicare, like all of that. Like, this is billions of dollars that are moving like to these players' hands, and when money involves, things get sticky. And so I feel like agents were already kind of an issue before in NIL 2.0 and 1.0, but now with definitive revenue share, I would assume there'd be definitive contracts. And I want to make sure our athletes are educated on, what's standard, what's market value. Don't want any of our athletes to make any headlines for any bad deals. So that's kind of my new focus, is like, how can I reach them and how can I best educate them? Because I think that will be the number one issue going forward.
With everything going on in the news and all of that, do you have somebody who's keeping an eye on that for you, or are you as involved as anybody in watching and reading on the cases and trying to brief yourself in what's going on with all of the NIL as far as the court cases go?
I'm not going to lie to you, be completely transparent. I tried. I really did. And then it was
That's a
like
lot.
6 months of reading and nothing happened. And so like it was like, all right, we made this inch in the courts and we made this inch backwards. And I was like, all right, I'm reading these court documents, I'm reading all this stuff. We're lucky we have Altia sports partners, so they stay up to date on these things. And I also like, instead of reading every day, now I read like once every 2 weeks to try to like brief myself. I feel like when something happens, I'll know about it. It'll be a big splash, but
Yeah.
I read on practical things that I can apply within the next week, and not, the court doom scroll is rough. That's what all the administrators were saying. Like, it's a rough doom scroll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not worth it. Just keep kicking the can down the road. But when let's go back to kind of just some programs and whatnot that you guys have been able to roll out there. Something you came on 513 Day with us. That was a thrilling success. It was awesome to have you on then, and something that you really enjoyed talking about, and I want to kind of get you on this platform and discuss a little bit more was the In Her Likeness, the female NIL that you guys did. Kind of just what went into that, and kind of the success that you saw, and what was it, volume 2 this year is what I saw. So kind of how was the turnover from year 1 to year 2 and the successes that you saw through that?
So back to the whole John and everyone lets me just do things with supervision, but I can just kind of do things. Right. And so I can adjust on the fly based on what our athletes need. I was meeting with our athletes. I was meeting with football and basketball and tennis, golf, and I would meet with Corey and Dante, and they would tell me, all right, yeah, like, let's go get these deals. And I meet with, our basketball players, and like, yeah, let's go get these deals. I meet with baseball, and I'm like, let's go. And then I meet with women's basketball, and I meet with women's golf, and I meet with tennis, and they're like, I want to, but I can't. I'm like, what do you mean you can't? What's stopping you? I just can't. I was like, articulate to me why you can't. And eventually I was able to get them to be like, well, I don't play football, basketball. I'm not a guy. Like, I don't belong in that space. Like, that's not for us. And I said, no, statistically speaking, that's not for them. You guys make more brand deals than they do. And showing them that data helps, but this is a mental battle you're fighting. So I was like, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a woman. So we can't have 222 athletes just not participating in NIL because they think they can't. They're gonna make me look bad. So I very quickly, honestly, I think I put this together in 2 months, was able to get some friends from Fifth Third, from Altius, the Reds, the News, Olivia, shout out Olivia. And we were able to put together a panel of like, strong female leaders. Grace from our compliance office, she was a former rower at Temple, and just talk about all these different topics that I talk to them about every day, but hearing it from, a woman was really impactful for them. And from that event, what happened was there was a panel, and then there was a networking session, because I was like, no, you're gonna do NIL today. So they got the pep talk, and then they got to go meet with businesses and talk and like network and, do it. And a lot of girls left that event with deals. But then from that event, we saw a huge surge in female NIL deals. Like, just last week, you'll see these. This is a Bearcat Journal exclusive. You'll see these popping up later. But just last week, we had 2 of our girls do some deals with Kendra Scott and Victoria's Secret, which I've been told by the girls are big deals. So we went from I can't do it to major national brands in the span of a year, because we were able to be flexible and we were able to adapt to what the student athletes needed.
What's the impact of Jillian and Sports Illustrated? Like, how does
I
that play in?
I think that it really goes in with so the Big 12 is like the sport and entertainment conference, right? Like, they're the culture. They want to, no other conference going to be it's going to use Bathing Ape at the championship game. Like, this is a very Brett move. It's like genius. But I think that, well, one, for recruiting, like, easy. It's an easy sell. But I think that it also shows the girls that, Jillian Hayes is on the cover of SI Swim. There's nothing that you can't do at Cincinnati, and that because you're a woman, there's nothing that you can't do. Like, we can go get whatever you want. Tell me your craziest ambition, and we will try to go get it.
Well, I think that begs the follow-up of what's it been like for you working with Brett Yormark and his staff, and what kind of an impact has that had on your day-to-day?
One of the Big 12 initiatives is just NIL innovation. And so I think that they're really open to the storytelling and like I don't work too directly with the Big 12. I would rather the athletes do like the story with that and like collab with them. But I think getting the athletes ready and prompted to be able to speak on their stories, to go to media days and talk about their NIL interests because like, yeah, you're there for football media day or basketball media day, but like this is a part of your life now. So if you want to say like, oh yeah, like, hey, everyone here in the Star, like I would also love a deal with, the Cowboys. I'm a big Cowboys fan. I'm not saying it's gonna work, but it's something to think about. So just getting them ready to just be authentic and tell their stories. I know a lot of them, both male and female, feel like they need to be rigid all the time and be like this when they're doing their interviews. I've actually been sending all my athletes Keon Coleman videos, the Bills wide receiver that just got drafted. He's hilarious. He's very authentic. He's very himself. He's gotten tons of brand deals with it because of just being himself. And that's
He loves snacks. He loves snacks.
And that jacket, those jackets from Macy's.
Yeah.
And I tell my athletes, the hardest part of NIL is being yourself. If you can be yourself authentically and be okay with someone like making fun of you and not that show, you'll be okay.
So along those same lines, obviously you're seeing the whole movement of potential brand name deals on football fields and on uniforms and different things of that. Does that ever cross into your office and kind of come into the conversation of where you guys want to start to head, whether it be trying to get the athlete to do this or that and kind of expose whatever brand is going to go after them a little bit more on a broader scale?
Again, I think what sets us apart is that I'm very athlete focused in my role. So while I do help with larger brand strategy and rev share and like our next 10 years of strategy, that is a part of my job. Not really. I am more so helping the athletes get the deals today. Like what do you want today? Now, do I want jersey patches that have a certain place that sells chili on it? Yes. Would I be open to helping with that? Absolutely. But that's those things where it's like, okay, I can't keep I have 420 athletes that need me now. I can't keep diverting my energy to like things that may or may not happen.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that will happen, but like there's like opportunities for them now versus
Makes sense.
Since being announced as a finalist and now even as a winner of this prestigious award,
First
how many
Big
other
12
schools
school,
are you
by the
hearing?
way, Aaron.
Yeah. How many other schools are you hearing from wanting to know how you did it? Like what you're doing to set yourself apart? Like, are you hearing from a lot of other schools trying to pick your brain on how to improve their situation?
Yes. I'm actually hearing from a lot of like, it was weird at the summit. I would be sitting down just taking notes on my iPad and I'd hear from a lot of student athletes like from other schools. They just come up to me and be like, I was talking to your athlete, or I was talking to someone, and like you just seem to be doing it different. Like, your athletes are really lucky to have you on campus because that's not normal. Like we don't have that. And my athletes told me on the bus ride back today, and they were like, "We're so lucky. Like we're so lucky to have you because everyone we met today, they didn't have you. Like we'd be like, where's your NIL director? Or like a lot of schools don't have a me. Like it's not a normal position. I think there's like 23 or me, 23, maybe 30 of me across different divisions and levels. And so
23 and Eddie.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the joke.
Yeah, we're creating a new brand, 23 and Eddie.
But yeah, I think that so we have a big group chat, all the me's of the world, and we talk best practices. And there's competitive advantage, but I think that the ultimate competitive advantage in NIL is just how like willing you are to sit there and just work with your athletes. You can go, like I said in my interview with Influencer, you can go there's a lot of routes you can go. Like I'm like pure like grassroots brand deals. Like that's where my head is. But I understand how collectives work. I understand, how corporate partnerships work. and I know how I can take this to that or that to this. But like realistically, as far as an athlete is concerned, I can go A to B. I hope them go to A to B real quick. And so I think a lot of people, one, don't want to do that. It's not fun work. It's actually really hard. The payoff is what like lightens me up every day, but like the actual grind of it is just not fun. But it works, and that's all I care about. And as long as it keeps working, I'm gonna keep doing it. So to answer your question, yes and no. Like we talk pretty frequently because we all have the same issues and we all want to help our athletes. It's just we all have to go about it a different way. Like not everyone has a Cunningham that's gonna be like, I'll
Right.
pull you back if you do something stupid, but go for it. And not everyone has a collective where I can like call and be like, hey, Ken, I got this idea, and we're really lucky to have the situation we have.
Yeah.
How long ago did Xavier call, and how long have they been waiting for you to call back?
I don't think we've ever talked.
Smart. Let's keep it that way. I would also venture to guess the other 23 in that group chat probably aren't as determined as you are to sit down and chat with every athlete that you've met with 3+ times if needed, and locking down an ideal for every single one of them as well. So I think that's a credit to your hard work and dedication to the craft as well. So shouts to you for that. But on 513 Day, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I want to hear again on this platform the most unique NIL deal that you've either heard of or that you yourself have crafted together for an athlete.
I think that the most unique deal, and it's a real testament to like Cincy and why you want to come to Cincy, right? It was this. Can I give you two?
Yeah, give me
there's
3, give me 5. Why not?
It's your show. We're just
So
part of it.
we have a tennis athlete, and she was looking for a place to live, and she was able to get an NIL deal with the place she's currently staying, and she was able to move in a little bit early because of NIL, and make money and pay her rent with NIL, because she was a UC athlete and she had a brand and she was like a face. And I don't know if that can happen everywhere else.
Right.
Because there's not those opportunities. You don't have that city, that connect, that those opportunities. So I think that's really unique, and she's probably gonna live there for the next 3 years. And she can always say like, and plus, like from a me perspective, like it's really easy to film a brand deal when you just gotta go downstairs and just do it right there. So that's a plus. And then the second one is there was a bowling alley that just told like, I think it was like 45 our student athletes, they just come and bowl whenever. And I know that sounds like a little thing. And it's not money, it's not cars, it's not, oh, this guy got $2 million from his collect, it's not that. But I would hear from the athletes, oh yeah, we went bowling last night. We had such a great time, and like the owner was so cool, and like we made these memories, or there were fans there and we got to meet the fans, or like just these things. And like I hear them, and they might not realize how impactful that is, but they're connecting with the city, they're helping a business, they're at the bowling alley, promoting the bowling alley just by being there, one, but also social media. And a lot of athletes, they get into NIL and they're like, I want all this money, I want all this stuff. But then when I tell them what NIL really is, and there's like, oh, like I can do things for free. And I was like, yeah, you can. Yeah. And I say like, not everything's about money. I would rather you like turn down a deal for money if it doesn't align with your core values and stuff like that. They kind of get into the weeds, and they can really see like they can really impact lives, and they can really do these amazing things. And to them, it's just a normal day. I signed some autographs, but for those kids, they might turn into 5 stars, and they might have to choose between, us and a bunch of other schools. And it's going to be because of that UC player that signed my autograph when I was 5 that I'm staying at UC.
Yeah.
They don't see the long-term effects of these things, but I do. And I think those are 2 very good, unique NIL deals that talk about like the Cincy way and the things we're able to do here.
So I don't imagine that winning the award is the pinnacle for Eddie Taylor. So what's your next big goal that you have in your sights?
Heisman secured. Heisman secured. What's the next step, baby?
You know, I think that the next step is my job, as long as John Cunningham doesn't tell me any different, my job doesn't change whether we revenue share or not. My job is to empower our student athletes to take ownership of their NIL, whether they're getting $1 billion or $0. I'm going to operate the exact same way because it doesn't really matter. The only difference is, hey, if you want to pay someone to film your content, now you can. So I think the next thing is figuring out how I can integrate what I'm already doing into the new landscape, because the way things are trending, men's and women's basketball and football will get all the, rev share money. And then right now it's like 5% to other means everyone else. As of right now, based on a court case, and as I said, court cases are, so who knows. But I think it'll be about how I can work with football, basketball, women's basketball to knockout punch every single time. Like, really, like, you guys have the resources, you have the platform, you have all these things. Like, how can we do knockout brand deals every single time? And then with the Olympic sports, it's how can we create our own media? How can we get more? We're still going to knock things out, but we're going to have to fight like Floyd and not like, Mike Tyson. So it's figuring out how many punches do we need to throw? When do we need to back off? Do we need to run a spread, or do we need to go, double tight? Well, for the big three, we can go spread, we can go air raid, we can just let it all out. But I think with the Olympic sports, sometimes you might need a fullback. I hope this is all making sense to you guys. I'm really.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Bring the football lingo in here. We're ready.
So yeah, I think the next goal for me is just staying ahead of the curve, but also not losing sight of the fact that what got us here will keep us here, but it's how do we innovate on top of what got us here and take it from, 1.0 to 2.0.
That's the thing that's got to be good for you, though, is the messaging from the NCAA when revenue sharing was kind of rolled out based on a court case. So we still, there's still, like you said, a lot of development, but there was a lot of talk of true NIL and getting away from just pay for play, which, of course, you leave something unregulated in this space, it's going to become pay for play. That has happened for 50 years. Like that's where everybody goes. But now it feels like with revenue share, there is going to be a chance for real NIL for people to get brand deals and people to take advantage of their name, image, and likeness. Like for you, kind of had to be kind of a like the sun's the clouds cleared and the sun came out, because that's the space you were working in. And now it seems like that's going to be a lot more of an emphasis.
Yeah, I know I've said this like 3 times, but I got really lucky to have John, because John was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I really don't see a world where organic NIL goes away. My biggest North Star is I always look at, what does the NFL do? That's how I look. And I'm like, okay, they make 30, like Joe Burrow got like a $32 million contract. Joe Burrow has a body armor deal. Joe Burrow has like real marketing deals. And so I'm looking at the NFL, the NBA, the NWSL. I'm looking at all these leagues. They make money, the WNBA, all of them. I'm looking at all these leagues. Endorsement deals are still very relevant, very prevalent. They're not going away. It'll be the same in the college space. The only difference is they weren't getting official contracts, so it was a little diluted and it was like murky. And so, yeah, in my role, I think that I will be one of the biggest. I and people like me who actually believe in organic NIL will be one of the biggest recruiting advantages to their schools ever, because once we have a level playing field, if you don't got one of these, if everyone gets 16 mil,
right?
True.
So I think that John letting me just stay doing what I was doing, because a crazy thought I had when we got the award, the student athletes were like, how do you feel? And I said, guys, this is the worst I'm ever going to be at my job. Like, it's right now, like with this award, like I'm gonna learn more. I'm gonna do more. I'm gonna mess up more, but I'm gonna learn from it. I'm gonna like. This is the worst we're ever going to be as a department. Is right now.
Yeah.
And they were like, damn. And so I mean, like as we move into this new space, I'm really excited because I think we can take leaps and bounds. I think that schools like us that are in these prime cities that have the backing of the city will be able to really. I think we're going to see. Speaking of a redistribution of wealth, I think we're going to see a redistribution of who's good and who's not in college athletics. I think it'll be really hard to be a big brand in the middle of nowhere with no motion, as the kids say. And it'll be really easy to be an up and coming Power 5, Power 4 brand in a nice city where you can be like, all right, well, SEC school offered me X, Big Ten school offered me X, Cincy offered me X. But also, like, if I go to Cincy, you know, I gotta have all these other things on top of it. So I think that's where the space is going. I think that the me's of the world will be the most in demand things, and I'm just glad we started early.
That's awesome.
You guys got anything else?
I'm just thinking that after he said that this is the worst he was ever going to be, then John offered him a lifetime contract. Well done, Eddie. Well done.
Yeah, he just keeps on showing up the Heisman, just bringing it back out each time. Believe me, this is the worst. And then just point at it.
Are you going to take that? Like, if you have a meeting with John, do you take that and sit it on the edge of his desk, like when you
Every
sit down?
time.
Tomorrow,
Just a
I'm gonna
reminder.
walk up every single floor with it and just like, and just let everyone take photos with it.
Yeah. Treat it like the Stanley Cup comes out tonight too. So yeah, you're just gonna treat it like that. Kind of travel around with it. Let them know. Hey, if you want a day with it, just let me know. But here it is.
I did want to give a shout out to two groups of people. One, like our actual entire athletic department, because I'm kind of needy. Like I need a lot. I have crazy ideas sometimes, like inner likeness in 2 months, or the other various like, hey, we need to do a content creation lab because we have 15 students asking for it, stuff like that. And so like our academy, our academic staff, which actually helps out a lot, so I can coordinate, deals around that stuff. Facilities helps me out a lot with a lot of the things we do. Our UCAS fundraising staff, our creative team have let me play around with their cameras, their $4,000 cameras, as I learned how to work those Sony things. I'm working on it. Our graphic designers, Griffin and Hannah and Dan, I annoy the hell out of them, but they always come through with great graphics for me. They made all these amazing, and I also make graphics. I could go on, but like I said, our leadership team, really like holistic support. Like they really let me run, and they let me like do what I think is the right thing, and they provide me guidance as they see fit. And that's really special, and I don't take it for granted because a lot of my other peers don't have that. They have very strict rules, rigid, and they got to do what they got to do. But I get to be innovative. I get to, be a Bearcat. And what I mean by that is, be gritty, be hard-nosed, figure out a way to make things work. And you do that enough times. And then, of course, my second shout out, again, I didn't want to leave them out, is to my student athletes. This is your award, and I can't wait to see all the selfies you take with it. Please, no one drop it. But yes, this is for you guys.
Yeah, is that glass?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Make sure they don't drop it.
If there's ever a time to remind them that you were a world-class power lifter, it might be now. Don't drop this, or I will put hands on you.
I really want to order another. I want one for I think you should get you win the Heisman, you get 2 trophies.
Yeah.
Have somebody like 3D print one for you that looks like that, but it's not the actual.
You can do
I'm pretty sure we can just order another. I don't see why not.
And then do like the whole
like that.
At like some big event, spike it like Kelsey did with the fake Lombardi trophy.
If we ever do a New Heights 2.0, maybe
Tell me you lost it in a sock of chili.
My trophy is never going in chili. That's never happening.
Only only on the jerseys. That's it. That's my chili too.
The good news is I don't think you could fit it in a sock.
They probably put it in a Kroger bag.
Yeah,
Probably.
true.
Probably.
Kroger has to be Kroger back though. That works. But Eddie, I think you're a name that's going to blow up here soon, and obviously it's a huge ordeal what's happened this past weekend, and it's only the beginning as you can say, and man, it's going to be fun to see as this continues to develop and grow, and I think what you see as going for him is a top of the line work and really wanting to put in the effort to succeed as much as possible on this spectrum. So shouts to you, shouts to everyone. Man, thanks for coming on. We've taken up an hour of your time tonight, but man, you deserve every accolade. And I think it's important to always remember that, you're looking out for the people that need it the most and the people that deserve it the most. And so while everything else is happening here and there, the focus is there at UC. So shouts to you, man. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Yeah, if you guys want to see some Summit content, look up Evan Prater, Jalen Hunt, Hampton Guckey, and Gabby Gunther. Those are the student athletes we took, and you can see all the stuff from this weekend.
Awesome. We will, man. We will. Anything else, guys?
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Eddie.
Clifton Tough,
baby. All right.
Aaron, did you see that home run?
He destroyed. I thought he was going to hit the truck. I thought someone was finally going to hit the truck.
I know. I did too.
Who was?
He hit it on. Ellie hit it on the boat. He hit it over the batter's eye.
He's pretty amazing.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone hit it.
I think Frazier has hit one up there once, but that might have been in the home run derby.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know that the only one I've ever seen come close in a game was I think Willie Moe.
It's nuts.
Put Ellie in the derby. Come on.
My goodness, that ball had a family.
Speaking of my goodness, man, how about Eddie? He's on top of his stuff. That's a impressive young man right there. That is
on top of the world,
taking a role and just maximizing the potential of it. So, wow, that's impressive. And I
love that he's become kind of part of this universe because that's a job people don't really think of. Like they look at Ken Tracy that kind of runs things for Brian at Cincy Reigns and Cunningham and the people that are involved at the highest level, but like boots on the ground, Eddie is dealing with this stuff day to day and he is crushing it.
Yeah.
I imagine it's a thankless job all the time. Like outside of UC, I imagine it's a very thankless job.
Yeah, what he mentioned, 422 student athletes, something along those lines. Imagine the face-to-face interactions every day in and day out. Each person has a different personality, a different scenario, a different situation that they're going through, and it takes a mighty person to be able to sit there and really craft certain things for each particular person. And that's Daddy throughout there is each athlete that's met with him one-on-one. 3+ meetings has always locked down an NIL deal. That's an unbelievable stat. And, it shows you kind of have seen recently the numbers that come out behind, player X received this amount of money, player Y received this amount of money. And there's another stat today that showed the amount of average money going to certain players. And I believe it was college basketball or might have been college sports in whole. But the fact that there's more to just that. There's each individual athlete can get their own NIL deal. And I think that's more important to look at than, seeing Coleman Hawkins got $2 million to go to Kansas State. So awesome to hear from Eddie and big congratulations. That's a piece of hardware right there, man. I tell you what, he had that acceptance speech lined up for us, man. I felt like I was watching the Grammys or something. That was,
I know, right?
Pretty cool right there. Pretty cool. And you guys want to go ahead and should we timestamp this one and rock and roll?
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call my guy Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Bang, baby. So, as you guys can tell, everyone listening or watching, Ryan Royer is not with us today. He's on vacation. So, my favorite segment of Riffing with Royer cannot happen on this Monday. Instead, my second favorite segment, Riffing with Aaron, will be taking place on this beautiful Monday night. And so that means it's time for read number 2 from our boys over at New Riff.
Fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative, New Riff produces award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the 3rd floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights, and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code Bearcats24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com. You couldn't literally in the line of spirits, you could not get farther apart on my scale than Kentucky bourbon and gin.
Yeah.
I've never had a taste for gin.
A little gin martini, a little dry boy. Come on now.
I just, it's so dry. It's like I'm thirsty the minute I take a drink.
I know.
That's not
makes
that's
you drink
not
more.
where I go. Yeah, that's not where I go with liquids.
Yeah.
The liquid shouldn't make me need more liquid. Right. But I love bourbon as much as any person loves anything.
Yeah.
Gin, I had to do vodka martinis, Brent. I know that's going to upset you.
No, not vodka martinis. Kidding me? I dominate.
Gin just isn't my jam.
Man, extra dirty martini with some blue cheese olives.
I was going to say, I'm not sure Brent ever met a martini he didn't like.
Hit me up, and then finish it off with an espresso martini or 4. It's fantastic. But right now,
remember Bar Louie, Brent? Remember Bar Louie? Remember Bar Louie?
Yeah. No.
They had
I frequented a Bar Louie or 2.
They had 20 martinis.
Yeah,
their specialty martinis were their thing.
Yeah.
One Valentine's Day, me, Kelly, and my best friend went to Bar Louie in Newport.
Tried every single one.
We did.
Okay.
We drank every martini on the menu.
I love that.
Kelly almost got hit by a car crossing the street at the levee on the way home.
Yeah. That's love is in the air night right there. That is a Valentine's Day that I would enjoy.
It was not. It was that was it was a lot. We went there for lunch at noon, right? The 3 of us, we went there for lunch, and we were still there at 11 o'clock at night when it became a club. We were still there.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we got reservations coming in for this table that you guys are at, and you're just like, nope, keep it going.
Hey, I have a $500 tab right now, and you guys aren't making me do anything.
And I'm ordering 3 more martinis. Please make it happen. But for now,
I'll tell you guys the rest of that story off the air.
Deal. I'm in. New Riff, Aaron. Let's riff away, my friend.
Let's. So my first question is: we've seen Cincinnati represented in the Olympics in volleyball recently. We saw
again this year.
Coach Katrina was with the USA women's team. We have now seen Annette Ichikunwoke, maybe. That's what we're going to go with. For the hammer throw, we saw, what's the coach's name? Kyle Pederuto for baseball is going to be with USA Baseball. So lots of stuff going on with, the USA, representing USA with Cincinnati. What other sport would you like to see Cincinnati represented in as far as a world team or an Olympic team or an Olympic athlete of some sort?
100-meter dash, baby. There is nothing in the Olympics
Yeah.
bigger and badder than putting your stamp on yourself as the fastest man in the world.
Yeah.
100-meter dash.
Michael Phelps would like a word. He was
Oh, no.
bad.
No. Not everybody
30
swims.
medals around your neck.
What does that have to do with anything? It's nothing to do with being the fastest man on the planet.
He was big and bad.
Yeah, but not
And
everybody
he could eat
swims.
like 17 pizzas in a sitting.
That still doesn't have shit to do with being Usain Bolt. And you just put it on the table. I am.
I was waiting for you to make that joke with Eddie taking the trophy floor to floor and just putting his trophy on the table.
Yeah.
Kind of did, but I like
the elephant trunk. It's little elephant trunk out there. That's all it is.
But no, Aaron, there's nothing more prolific. There's no better thing to brag about on the planet than being the fastest man in the world.
That is how you determine the fastest man in the world. There's no
yes,
doubt
the Olympic champion is the fastest man in the world.
In the 100
until there's the next Olympics,
right?
And somebody beat world record holder in the 100-meter dash. I am faster than everybody that's ever lived on this planet.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I'm going a little bit of a different approach. Give me a player on the U.S. men's basketball team, because that means that guy is an absolute all-star in the NBA.
One of the 25 best players in the world.
Yeah. It's just the whole twofold approach. Heck, give me a guy on the 3-on-3 team. I'd love to watch him go out there. Or let's roll with give me. I mean, like sand volleyball is fun to watch. Beach volleyball. I mean, there's so many different avenues. I love the Summer Olympics. I think it's way better than the Winter Olympics. But
the Winter Olympics, I care, but I don't.
Right. Yeah. So give me basketball though, because that means we got a star representing the Bearcats.
On the flip side of that coin, I'd say women's athletics is probably at its highest point ever.
Sure.
Of recent, and I think if you had a female that was in some type of like Rose Lavelle was with the soccer team, if you were able to do that, in any case, I'm just saying, I know who that family roots for. I get it, but I think that if you had a women's soccer player or a women's basketball player, especially right now, I think that would be up right there.
Hey, they did get a commitment out of a future Caitlin Clark potential. So let's see. But
they also,
for now, Jordan Thompson
they have a volleyball player, which is like I will argue after the experience of the past couple weeks, women's volleyball is in a very strong place in that sports community.
And it's fun to watch at the highest level. That is a fun game to watch. So
it is a different sport than Kelsey and her team are playing.
Yeah.
Like they had the 18 Open, which is like the top division of the 18-year-olds on the center court when we were down there the last day. And that's just it's so impressive to watch how fast the ball moves, like how hard the ball is hit, and that these girls are still able to get underneath it and like field essentially 130-mile-an-hour fastball aimed straight at the ground. And these girls are with one hand, and it pops up and goes exactly to the place that they wanted it to go. I'm like, yeah, you can't. That's not physics. Does not agree with that. What just happened right there? I love it. It's been a fun sport to get involved in.
Yeah. So we got Jordan Thompson rep, and then D. Alexander, and in what 12 years, maybe maybe it'll be her time to go.
There you go.
Show what she got on the big stage.
Keegan wrote an article this week. Who is a breakout candidate that Keegan did not mention?
Oh.
So do you want me to give you the names he mentioned? I won't give out his summaries, but I'll give you the names he mentioned.
Okay. I didn't know how you wanted to tiptoe around that.
Xavier Lozowicki, Barry Jackson, Jake Golday, Darian Varner, Jordan Young, and DJ Taylor. Those are the names Keegan has listed as his breakout candidates.
Pretty interesting names listed, I would say. Lozowicki, Varner, a couple to kind of name out there that kind of, Lozowicki would make sense if he's able to hop on the field, and of course, and then you got Varner, who kind of didn't really get too much glow, but obviously the connections to Walt and whatnot, and then DJ Taylor, who could solve the problem at returner. So who knows? But Chad, who you got breakout?
I think I'm gonna go with Joe Royer. I think especially in the red zone.
Excellent choice.
Yeah.
Especially in the red zone, like there's just so many opportunities that were not capitalized on a season ago that I think a guy like Royer, if he can stay healthy, I think he's in for a big splash this year. So I'll go Royer.
Okay. Aaron, you got one before I throw mine out?
Aaron was going Royer, so he's thinking.
I was going Royer.
I was going Royer too. So I'm over here thinking too.
Way to go, Chad.
Tony Johnson.
You took the low-hanging fruit.
I did. That's why I went first.
You totally did.
If I'm not sure, if I'm going to go off the grid, I will go last. You guys know this.
Oh no!
If I have something I feel is a little different, I'm not afraid to go last.
Yeah, Chad, it's funny you mentioned Tony Johnson because obviously you look at the new names that come in, kind of glow and come off the page, and you kind of give a little bit more attention to them, and you kind of forgot a little bit about Barry Jackson, and which is why I loved seeing it mentioned in the article, in Kika's article. Go check it out on BCJ. But yeah, it's literally the truth. Like I was so excited for Barry Jackson. Like every chance he got, he seemed to have that little bit of flash, that little bit of flair that kind of excites you for the future. So the fact that we mentioned these new transfers that have come in and mentioned the positions at wide receiver, who's going to fit where, and then you say, oh yeah, and we got Barry Jackson. So let's see what he's able to do. Aaron, I guess if you want to keep thinking, I'm gonna pick the easy pick. Is it too early to say Brendan Sorsby? Is that allowed to? Is that a cop out pick? Is that a cop out pick?
Look, yeah, that's a cop out pick because if he's not good,
right,
we are going to have another
that's
very difficult.
That's literally the angle I was taking.
December.
Yeah, because if you look at and I hate the off season rankings and off these little random blah 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 put together ranking of the Big 12 quarterbacks, and this guy put together a random ranking of this and that, but he's always at the bottom of like the Big 12 rankings, but then you have a couple where he ranks a little bit higher, and I tend to love those a little bit more than the ones that rank him lower, but the fact is, there's something that the staff saw, especially what Coach Satterfield saw, to really be like, I want Sorsby. He's going to be perfect to run this. Let's get him priority target in the portal and bring him into the fold. And so I think, like you said, if he does not have that breakout type star year, then it is going to be a long season. I think another name that kind of, rose a little bit this past year, but I think really kind of just blows up on the scene would be D'Artagnan Tinsley. I just think he's going to have the ability to be that, all league player and start to put himself on draft radar. So Tinsley would be the other non-so,
Well, I'm gonna go off the grid a little bit because Brent looked at the Big 12 accolades and picked one of those 8 players. Well done. on
Okay,
your
well then I'll
homework.
go Jalen Hunt.
Well
How
done.
about that? I'll go Jalen Hunt as well, because the staff has talked glowingly about him. Said that, like every single thing he's been improving. He was really good at the tail end of the last year. I mean, Nico talked big about him. It seems like everyone's been talking big about Jalen Hunt, and he was just at the summit this past weekend. So hey, Jalen Hunt. There we go.
If I knew who any of the starters were going to be at the safety or the what is the star spot again?
Yeah,
Are we back to
that's
star?
the interesting side. Yeah.
No idea. So I think somebody there is probably going to have a breakout season. Remains to be seen who. So I'm going to go back to offense.
I think the safest bet is Mekhi Miller. If you're going to take a stab,
I was going to go Kai Stokes. I was going to go Kai Stokes just based on his size, but he's anyway. I'm going to go Evan Pryor. I think that Corey's going to get plenty of looks, but we've seen that this offense loves to run the ball. And I don't think Evan Pryor is leaving Ohio State to come to Cincinnati and not be getting plenty of touches with the Rock. And I think that he is primed to have.
He certainly didn't come
here to play school. I think he's going to have a big season. And I think that there are going to be games where we are wondering why Evan Pryor did not get the ball more.
I agree.
It's fair. So I think that's fair. I think it's a good choice. Hey, I was contemplating him or Chance Williams. Like Chance Williams has got the chance to be that home run hitter. Like you don't see him. Remember the role that like Charles McClellan had his freshman year, where you didn't see him much, but every time you saw him, like the defense was looking at the back of his jersey.
What was that? The
Chance
Tulane
Williams
game, I think, right?
Yeah.
The final game of the regular season. Yeah. I agree.
So, and then my last question is, we've seen the recruits thus far with the football class. We've seen and I want to stick with men's basketball in this, but we've seen some of the guys that they're looking at. If you had one wish for a position, I'm not going to be specific on player, but if you had one wish for a position that this staff would land still for football and also then for basketball for the 2025 class, what's your wish?
Go ahead, Brett.
Man, it seems like in basketball they're after from offers and whatnot, wings and point and
you're going to need a lot of wings.
Yeah,
after this year, you're going to need a lot of wings,
and
you're going to need a lot of everything after this year.
Yeah. So I bring me a bona fide wing, and I think Chad has head over to the BCJ board if you want to see a potential bona fide wing that.
Well, that's 2026.
That's 2026. Still, the topic remains. I would like a wing.
A big one.
Nice recovery.
Yes, thank you. And then as far as football, give me a man. I guess go back to into the trenches. Give me like a kind of a beast on the interior defensive line, because you're obviously losing Dante and Jalen Hunt's gone, and I think that's kind of we started to see that's the position where you probably need to grow organically and develop your freshmen, because everyone wants those type of players out of the portal. So kind of a guy that fits the measurables that they like, that also has kind of the acumen that you say, okay, he could be the next Dante a few years down the line. So
just for reference, they already have a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, an offensive lineman, 2 defensive linemen, a linebacker, 3 defensive backs, and 2 special teams.
Give me a left tackle, man. Give me a 3-year starter at left tackle.
Yeah.
Like red shirts the first year they come in, maybe as the swing tackle as a red shirt freshman, and then sophomore, junior, senior year. Like, how long has it been really since there's been a guy that just settled into that left tackle spot and said, it's mine? I mean, obviously, there is an answer, but he wasn't here very long. James Hudson lasted a year.
Mhm.
So give me a guy that that's the one piece of stability, even through the great Luke Fickell cycle. It felt like they were always scrambling to answer left tackle. Give me a left tackle, man.
Hmm.
They pay those guys a lot of money in the NFL for a reason.
They do. They do. And in basketball, Chad, Davion Hannah. Give me him. There we go. That's a 2025 name. That's a win.
Give me a 6'7" guy that can play the 2 and the 3. I
Mhm.
think that is it's a lost spot really in college basketball anymore. A guy that truly can play the 2 and the 3. You can force guys into spots, but anymore it's 1 and 2 combo guard, 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 wing, stretch 4, whatever. That guy that can come out and he's 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", with long arms, and they can shoot, they can handle the ball a little bit, they can defend. That guy that can help you at both spots. I'm with you. That, it's just so invaluable. And to get it, you have to get up into that top 20 range. You are not finding guys with that size and versatility and that ability to do, a little bit of everything. You're not finding them back at 55, 60.
Right.
You're just not. Davion Hannah. Yes, go get Davion Hannah.
There we go.
For the football, I want somebody. Obviously, you can't replicate Sauce. That's silly talk. But I do want somebody in the mold of Sauce's body style. All the corners that and I know it's not their jam. They go for the shorter, quicker corners. But all the corners they have currently in the class are listed at 5'10" or thereabouts. I'd like to see a defensive back that was more in that 6'2", 6'3" range that's still electric fast. And then for basketball, give me a 5. I don't want a 4, 5. I want a 5. Because we don't know. We already saw our big in the NBA draft did come back, but we know he has an extra year of eligibility as well. But who knows when that's going to come to an end? So I give me another big, an athletic, strong big.
Look. If you're going to tell me they're going to get Donovan Clingan, I'm in.
Oh, are they?
No.
Oh.
I'm just saying. If you're going to tell me you're going to get that, great. Just anymore, man. Those traditional bigs that don't move well, they get chewed up in the pick and roll. It's so tough to find one that is actually playable for more than catch and turn over your right shoulder. But to your point, it's just not a lot of guys in college basketball that you can throw it to like you could in the old days and get a bucket.
Yeah.
Just it is legitimately a dying breed. If you can't shoot the three, you can't play.
Those are my 3 questions.
Good work, Aaron. Good questions.
Admirable fill-in for one Ryan Royer in the riffing segment, man.
Riffing with Smith.
Riffing with Smith. It's got that flow. It's got that Taylor Swift flow, man. Just call me Travis. I'll carry you to the finish line, baby. Let's go. Chad's having that nice little cough attack out there. Gotta love that. That was the new riffing segment. When Chad comes back, well, I guess we can do the quick hitters real fast. Obviously, we saw one decommit and one commitment on the football side of things for the class of 2025. We have the Jeremiah Kelly committing Cincinnati offensive lineman, kind of a interesting pick where they kind of had a really good camp day, and then obviously the offer was extended and the commitment was made. When you have that kind of a big time shine in the eyes of the staff, and then you fit the measurements that we've heard Zach Grant mention numerous times, then obviously you're going to be really highly wanted by the program. Obviously, hailing from the great state of Ohio as well. Chad, anything more on Kelly? Obviously, a great article by Keegan up on the website right now.
Not a whole lot. I mean, he just fits what they want to be in on the interior. Super long arms, good height, weight. Like if you look at him, he doesn't look sloppy. I guess is a good way to put it. I know he jumped a guy or two that they had on their board for a while ahead of him with his camp performance, and kind of maybe took somebody's spot, if you will. So yeah, I mean, just the type of guy they're looking for on the interior of that offensive line. He's got a wrestling background. Hasn't played a ton of offensive line, so I think he only played 4 games last year on the line. So probably somebody that's going to take a little bit of time once you get him in here to get fully up to speed on technique and the finer points of offensive line. But physically, this is what they're looking for.
Amen. And then, of course, and obviously the wrestling background. The previous regime would have obviously loved that 2-sport athlete. The wrestling side, it's a big time quantifier for any staff that's looking for an additional on that front. And of course, 2025 running back Colin Wilson flips from Cincinnati to Mississippi State. Yet again, another just. High school recruiting in this day and age is just so difficult to fully track and engage on, because this does happen, and it's not anything against the staff or anything. But yeah, Chad, you got a well.
It's part of their philosophy is to identify and get out in front of things.
Right.
Well, the way that high level college football recruiting is, the hometown SEC team can kind of sit back and wait and wait to see things evolve. And then they go make a play on a local kid and, they get them to jump in. So that's one of the downsides of operating the way that they have acknowledged. They feel this gives us the best chance to win. So this is how we are going to do it because it's how we feel best. There are just going to be some situations where local state school, whatever, hasn't offered. And then they get to the summer, the kid camps. The school says he's the type of guy that we want. They offer, the kid flips. Like that's going to happen more than it happened when Cincinnati was in the American and they were the big fish. So get used to it. It'll happen. Probably not done with this class. Just knowing how things go, the twists and turns between now and December. Signing date's not for 6 months, 5 months. So it won't be the last twist in the road. But as long as you keep working your process, you should still be in a good spot. Plus, it's running back.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of them out there.
There is. I did see a Xavier Robinson's top 5 was released. Bearcats mentioned in that. Point guard out of Lawrence North High School, Indianapolis, Indiana. So it's obviously those are going to continue.
Reese, Tillery. I think there's a couple guys maybe a little farther along there's a couple guys that have the express pass. There's a couple guys that are waiting in the regular line.
Yeah. Yep. And then Dorian Jones.
Like there?
I did.
Callback.
The callback.
This is a good callback.
I liked it. Then a couple names like Malachi Moreno and Dorian Jones, just obviously some guys that they were connected to, released theirs. They're cut the final 5 and final 4, and Cincinnati left off those lists. So now the recruitment moves along.
They haven't recruited Moreno a lot. over the past couple months, just because it got to like, this is going to be what's interesting to me on the basketball recruiting front going forward. A guy like that is going to have a high NIL price tag, like understandably so. He's a 5-star kid, but he's also a guy that's probably going to take a year or two.
Right.
So are you okay allocating a pretty significant portion of your NIL to a kid that you believe is going to take a year?
Yeah.
Because I want to do a show on this at some point here in the near future as we go through the summer. What this basketball league did from the end of the basketball season to now for like, I don't know, 13, 14 teams. It's hard to get your brain around.
Yeah.
How good almost every offseason was.
Yep.
Like a couple weeks ago, we were talking about, well, Cincinnati has kind of positioned themselves in that group where they're not those teams that are being talked about for the top 10, but they're probably above everybody else. And then a month later, 5 of those teams that were in the everybody else, now you're looking at going, shit, the middle is going to be a disaster. It's going to be a fucking bloodbath.
Yeah. Yeah.
BYU's going out just getting pros.
I know. Yeah. It's like, where did he come from? Yeah. Yeah.
But like it's fascinating with this league because that play could cost you severely in that year. If the kid sticks around and goes into a sophomore or junior season, it's obviously a 5-star talent, is obviously somebody that, can help you. But if you don't have a surplus, if you don't have a war chest like, Kansas or Kentucky or whatever, if you're Cincinnati, can you afford, even if you can get it, which you probably can't because of everybody that's involved, can you set aside $250,000, $500,000 just in the hopes that, like, if we do get him and we know it's probably going to take a year and we know we probably could have used that $300,000, $400,000 and gone and gotten somebody that could have made a real impact this year
right away.
It's a tough spot to be in.
It is.
And does that price tag go up in year 2? And then
Sure, of course it does.
And then what was year 1 worth at that point?
Right.
Yep.
I'm glad I don't have to deal with it. I really it doesn't. I'm happy for the players to get paid because they have cut them out of the process for far too long. But
Forever.
It is added, but forever, yes, but more so 30 years ago when the money really started, like, getting to a point where players should have been cut it. Anyhow, you're going to have to answer a bunch of tough questions, especially with 5s, because they take so much longer to develop. A 2 or a 3, a combo guard, a wing, a stretch forward. You can get those guys on the floor pretty early.
Yeah.
Point guards and centers, it's tough.
Yeah.
Aaron, you want to see me break Brent's brain?
Let's break it.
I'm always in for that.
I was at workouts today. I just haven't mentioned it to any of you guys yet.
Oh my gosh. We're gonna have to push the mailbag to next week.
Honestly, I'll be honest. It was the first day of the summer that they have worked on defense. So it's a lot of defensive drills, and there wasn't a whole lot that really happened because they were, working on positioning and understanding and explaining the system to the new guys. So that's why I hadn't mentioned it a whole lot yet.
Yeah.
There's some questions where you can kind of get into the weeds a little bit in the mailbag anyway. So,
yeah, I just wanted to make Brent's brain
break. We
because
could
I
have,
haven't mentioned that I actually went to workouts today.
yeah, exactly. That's normally something you send over text, and I craft up plenty of questions. I mean, was there any offense? Is there any notable things that we need to hear?
One thing I do think that was interesting that came out of today, when you're working on this defensive stuff, you kind of have like a mix of like the walk-ons and the guys that aren't in on the defensive side of the drills playing the offense.
Right.
CJ Anthony had a huge day today. And I'm not, that's not to say CJ Anthony is a guy that's going to have this breakout year. Maybe he does, whatever. But the point being, there are so many different weapons offensively on this team that, you know, like a guy like CJ Anthony, and we've talked about this with like Connor Hickman at the start of the year. People are going to be trying to stop Jizzle, and they're going to try to stop Dan and Seamus and Dylan Mitchell and Connor Hickman, CJ Frederick. Like, they are going to have the opportunity to do some damage. And today, it just, because of the way that things were, you know, the alignments were set up, as they worked the ball, you know, but they were playing their base defense. Wes introduced like a horn set, which is your 4 and your 5 at the corners of the free throw line. And then you run your offense off of the horn set, move the ball. And if you move the ball right, you're going to find an open shooter off of that set because of the down screens and the elevators and the way that action works. And they kept finding CJ, bang, bang, bang. Then he started getting a little cocky. He took one kind of sideways from the NBA line with a hand in his face, bang. So CJ Anthony had a very good day. But I think that's a good sign offensively, just in terms of how many different guys they have that can give you problems, attacking the rim, shooting the three, rebounding on the offensive glass. So it wasn't an overly eventful day at workouts today, but, you know, always good to get in and see the guys get some work in.
How long do they look defensively?
They had one team that dominated the 4-on, like they were doing 4-on-4 defensive shell drills. And it was Day, Dan, Seamus, and Dylan Mitchell. And they dominated. And a lot of that is just, you know, Dan has gotten better. Day is a great on-ball defender. And then Mitchell can do a little bit of everything. So it was impressive watching those three. They ran through, I think 5, 6, 7 stops in a row. The other team had to run twice.
Okay. CJ
Good sign,
Frederick
though,
won. Yeah, go ahead. That did
That's a good sign. I was just gonna say it's a good sign that the other guys behind him were able to cover up Seamus's defensive deficiencies. That
I don't think Seamus is going to be nearly as bad this year as he was last year. I think Aaron, I think with him, like it goes the same with like a Jaren, those guys that aren't physically just like laterally gifted and long. Yep. It takes a little time, but Seamus plays a really smart game. So he understands like positioning, where he needs to be, what he needs to do to be effective. I think you will see that get better in year 2.
That's great.
I don't think he's going to be a great defender. Don't mistake what I'm saying by any stretch.
We also don't want to see a half a season of ball watching.
Right. And he did that a lot at the beginning of this past year. For sure. Did it on rebounds too, and we were ready to murder him. And then towards the end of the season, he got it fixed.
There we go. And then CJ Frederick, monster of the week. That good to see. He's
hit a couple threes today. Splashed a couple out on the wing. He looks good. No issues watching CJ so far.
Yeah. And then
best dunk of the day.
Oh.
Weren't really any dunks today. They weren't really doing anything.
The defense was too good. No dunks.
No, they weren't really running anything that was conducive to like dunking. They weren't running open court. Like it was a install day, as we say on the football side.
The
And I talked to a couple of people about it. It made sense. They said, look, we just don't we're not going to do this a ton, but we don't want to get to the start of practice and we haven't worked on any defense.
Right.
So let's take a couple days and get the terminology down, get the expectations down, and then we'll circle back to it later.
So based off of what we saw last year, obviously, and what you were able to take in just today off of one day, is the drop off as not as crazy, obviously, from Aziz to AP as it was this past season when you took Aziz out and had to go to Jamil.
Well, Jamil was as bad a defender as you could be.
I was trying to be nice, Chad.
I mean, he wasn't good at it.
I know.
There were things he was good at.
Yes.
Understanding
one of them.
Understanding team defense was not on that list of his traits. You know what freaks me out, man?
What?
AP looks almost exactly like watching him on the court. I've talked about this a little bit, but the more you see it, he is junior, senior year Octavius Ellis physically. The way they move, the way they get up and down the floor, like how quick he is off of his feet. The similarities between him and Ock, it's like,
not a bad thing.
No, young Octavius was not great in terms of, he was still like a baby.
When he came back,
that's the way that AP kind of moves. That's the way that his type of athleticism, which he's more talented than Ock was at the same stage, but they remind me of each other so much.
Yeah, Octavius, is that you just trying to disguise with 2 2s on your jersey, not just 1 2?
Except he's now got the big old beard, a little gray sneaking in on it. That doesn't look like AP, but I think there will be just AP moves significantly better on the perimeter.
Right.
If you're going to hedge, I think it's going to be interesting to see how different their ball coverage is defensively from lineup to lineup. I think we probably will see some more hedging, some more bigs in space instead of just playing in, ice and drop where the guard is getting over the screen and the big is standing at the free throw line. The defense will definitely be less hot and cold than it was last year when you went from Aziz, who is an elite defender, to Jamil, who is not an elite defender.
Not here.
Yeah, not here. Correct.
Any full court press?
No, that wasn't something. Even if they are going to do it, that wasn't the.
All right.
It was just basic ball screen, like half court type defense stuff.
Wes needs to put the full court press on Jizzle's golf swing. That's what needs the full court press. If you've seen that on social media, you know what I'm talking about. Jizzle, keep on swinging, man. You'll get it down. Don't you worry. Practice makes perfect. Okay, Chad. Wow. I mean that's thrilling that you dropped this little nugget. This
surprise. Oh.
I
can keep a secret, Brent. I'm very good at keeping secrets.
That's good, and but I'm happy that it was exposed. I
was going to let you guys know at some point. I just hadn't decided. I was not anticipatory that Eddie was going to give us an out.
Yeah,
Eddie rocked the cast ball.
Yeah,
right.
He did.
So I was saving that for if we were struggling to get a good show in. I had that in my back pocket, and then we're already at an hour and 45 minutes, and I hadn't mentioned it yet. So
instinctually, how did the freshmen look defensively? From just what you could gather.
A ways to go.
Okay.
To be expected.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Rayvon, he was obviously played in the Dub Roses.
He played his ass off. He was
the,
playing hard as shit today. I'll give you that. Like, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, not the Dub Smith League over the
Smith
weekend,
League,
and from all reports, I had a buddy that went that it sounded like he was dominated, hit like 5 of 7 from deep, and only played a half, and was the best player on the court. And then if you see Meacham tweeted, said he talked to him, said said that he wants to be like John Newman of this past season. So you know what, if
you
you
get on the
go
floor.
out there, if you go out there and you try and be like John Newman, then I tell you what, that's going to be a way to get the minutes that you want. So that's awesome, really awesome. So man, I could keep asking questions, but we don't want a 3-hour show. So let's get the mailbag going. We'll timestamp that, and I'll be right back, guys. And Aaron, if you have to ask the first question by the time I get back, then it's fine. But I'll be right back.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies. Quick Paper Supply, that is. Products like to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. You think he had to take the Cosby kids to the pool?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know. I've never heard him apologize that many times for having to leave. He never leaves, though. So there's that. So we'll open the mailbag. We'll open the mailbag where we normally do here in the football portion of the mailbag. What do you expect the distribution of carries to look like this season between Kiner, Pryor, and Williams? Fickle favored a bell cow. Any insight on if Satterfield's approach is the same, or if he is open to riding the hot hand or running by committee?
So Sat has talked about this, and I think he's open to a little bit of everything. He had said
last year,
if I've got a guy that's better than everybody else, I'm giving him the ball. Like, I'm not going to force carries to other guys when this guy should be getting 23 a game or whatever. That said, I think with this group, they're going to want, at least initially, to be a little diverse. And then you'll find out, if Kiner is dominating the action, then you're going to see him getting the ball more than everybody else. I don't think there is a specific, like, this is how we do it. So yeah, I think they would prefer to have one guy at like 60%, one guy at like 30%, another guy at 10 or whatever. I mean, they've used 4 or 5 backs in the past.
Yeah.
I
mean, kind of dominated the carries out of the running back room last year, but
right.
Obviously you made some additions to the room this year, and see, you don't do that unless you're going to tell, as you mentioned, Evan Pryor, you're going to get some touches. So,
right.
I agree.
All right.
Good take, Brett. Good take.
Thank you.
To clarify from last week,
Merc, we're back.
You're in a fantasy world and approached by ESPN and the NCAA, and they want your opinion on their new league of NCAA football that will have teams compete for playoff spots and crown a national champ. First topic: if you win the conference, should you get an auto bid to the playoffs? No, you get to set the conference, so you could have just 8 conferences in the new league. Second topic: how many teams in the playoffs? Third topic: how many schools are you looking to keep in this new NCAA football conference? Want to keep as many eyes on as possible. Fourth topic: only one game versus lower conference opponents, and is there a limit to when that game can be played? Fifth topic: do you mandate that a school that is poor past 3 years under 500 has to then play a home and home versus a successful team in the division below to decide who gets that spot the next year, first game of the year, and then a bowl game replacement if higher division doesn't make playoffs. Sixth topic, actual attendance requirements. Any other topics not listed above? No. There's a lot to unpack there.
Okay. Let's see here. I mean, Merck, you're the man. I would love to meet you. If you win the conference, should you get an auto bid to the playoffs? Yes. Yes. Good question. How many teams in the playoffs? Let's go with 12 until we don't like it. Third topic. How many schools are you looking to keep in the new NCAA football conference? I want to keep it as it is. Fourth topic. Only one game versus lower conference opponents. Is there a limit to when that game can be played? No.
Is TLDL, is that too long didn't like?
Too long didn't
No.
listen.
Oh, okay.
Fifth topic.
You read it. I didn't have to read it. You read it.
Or
So it wasn't too long didn't read.
to then
It was too
play
long didn't listen.
home-
I think we got to 4 and I tuned out.
Man, Merck, this is an amazing question. Throw it up on the board as a new topic, and let's get everyone's opinion. I like that idea, Merck. Throw it up there, man. Thank you very much for clarifying it. I think this would be a good topic to throw up there and see what the whole board thinks, because
if you were the NCAA czar, choose your own adventure.
That could be fun. Can you do that in the EA Sports game?
Who knows? It's not out yet.
Okay, fair.
I would like a 14-team playoff.
Yeah.
A bye for number 1 and number 2. Everybody else fills in the bracket like a 16-team bracket, and you go from there.
As long as the number 1 and 2 aren't automatically SEC and Big Ten, because that's bullshit.
Attendance, yeah, I want attendance to be up, but it's more about productivity on the field.
Any more attendance, man?
Yeah, no.
Like that, it's so you can't control it. So
big screen TV,
right?
Yeah.
All right. Who replaces Buford at right tackle to improve this offensive line?
Philip Wilder was there for most of the spring as Buford dealt with a little bit of an injury. We saw Wilder play that spot some throughout the season last year. And then, I mean, I guess you'd have to say Xavier Lozowicki is going to be a candidate.
Yeah.
Maybe an Ethan Green if he has a great summer. Like he's got a ways to go to catch up to like Buford being the incumbent starter, and then Wilder kind of being the backup and guy that was pushing him. Lozowicki comes in. So yeah, I would go one of those two guys.
Lozowicki is just so intriguing. Obviously it's a step up in everything when it comes to this, but I think that it's like the whole diamond in the rough type thing when then you saw all the other offers and other schools that started to go after him into the mix as well.
Right.
So it's kind of like the mesh of two perfect worlds coming together, and just proof that a lot of people started to see, hey, this guy could be pretty damn good. So I'd love to see Lozowicki just blow up and really add a crucial depth piece, or become the starter and really shine. So I think that'd be awesome.
Yep.
All right. What song best describes Coach Satt's job effectiveness since the end of last season? Consider recruiting class, portal acquisitions, new coaching hires, culture shift, etc. A, we will rock you. B, I can't get no satisfaction. C, Twee Prize? I don't even know what that is. D, one toke over the line. And E, under pressure. I'm going to go off the grid and say walk the moon 1 foot in front of the other.
I have no idea what Twee Prize is.
I couldn't tell you what that is. Never seen that word in my life.
No.
Um,
It's a Fish song. It's the Tweezer reprise. Okay, I get it now. Tweeprise.
let's go with a little Tom Petty. Won't back down. I won't back down. I like that one.
Well done. Well done.
I like that one.
Of the selections, I mean, it's under pressure. Like last year wasn't good enough. They know it. They've accepted it. They are working under the guise the entire offseason of that shit doesn't cut it here. So there is pressure. There is pressure to show it's going to be a lot better than what we saw a year ago.
Yeah.
Does that mean that Scott Satterfield's job is in danger? No, it does not. Does it mean he's on the hot seat? No. It means the fan base wants to see the train back on the tracks.
Yeah.
So I'll go under pressure.
I didn't know we had to pick from his list, but yeah, under pressure.
Well, that's why he gave a list, Brent, was to pick from the list.
I can only read what's on the screen. But I think it's a
200 characters. I'm limited. I'm sorry.
I think it's a beautiful song. So yeah, let's go with it. Queen is just a great.
I love Queen.
It's a great band, and sings with them on Under Pressure as well is one David Bowie. So quite the collab there. Quite the collab.
Once the IPF is complete, what do you think the next major facility improvement / addition is needed from an athletic standpoint to help raise our profile? It doesn't have to be football related.
It would be a basketball only practice gym facility. Similar, I don't like to talk about IU all that much for obvious reasons around this crew. But what IU has is kind of that's what's the next step.
Yeah, I agree. I've got nothing else to add. I think, once you knock out those two, main sports, then you can start to, and it's multi-purpose. You see the IPF is going to be multi-purpose. A bunch of different sports are going to be able to use it. So basketball would be the same for the indoor people.
Yeah.
Court.
Right. That is the end of the football portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the basketball portion of the mailbag. Do coaches get mad when NIL figures get leaked into the media? For example, Hawkins getting $2 million from Kansas State. That's a lot of pressure for the player and team to produce.
Probably.
Can't be good for your locker room, right?
Well, like where it's going to create problems is internally, right? Like I'm getting $375,000, and this guy's getting $2 million, and he's only marginally better than me. Like,
that's my point. Can't be good for your locker room.
It's that is where you don't want that stuff to get out. It's probably going to get out internally anyway, but it is a lot of pressure for the player. Not as much the team, the specific player. To once they've had that label put on them, it's a rough one. I mean, last year it was Hunter Dickinson. Everybody said he got over $1 million from Kansas. I heard it was a little bit less than that, not significantly less than that, but a little bit less than that. But yeah, I would guess coaches do get mad when that number gets out, because it's especially when you get into that range, when you're talking seven figures, people are going to react to it.
How far do you think we are from player agents being the ones to leak that information to boost other players that they are representing?
I mean, where do you think the Hawkins number came from? Of course it's coming from agents. That's what is an agent thinking also long term? If I got Hawkins $2 million, think what I'll get for you next year.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that's why agents want it out there, of course.
Ray didn't beat Reed for a spot last year, and there's even more competition now. Is there one area of his game holding Ray back, or did he need across the board improvement?
I mean, he was a freshman, so there's a lot of improvement that needs to be made. Can he defend elite wings, elite threes, elite fours at the high major level in the Big 12? Does he have his jump shot more consistent? How is he running offense? Are they able to run offense through him in the half court? Or is he, what hurt Josh last year? And I think Aaron would agree with this. He was stationary. He was not a guy you were going to get the ball and he was going to go right or left with it, right?
Extremely
he was either going to catch it and shoot it, or he was going to catch it and pass it. Like, that's an area where Ray, if he works on his ball handling and gets a little bit more comfortable there, like, that was the most frustrating part, I think, of Josh. He has some of that in his game. He just didn't show it last year.
I think confidence was a big thing with Josh last year offensively.
I tried to explain this, and I think it's hard for people to really grasp. Like, Josh was told, if you do these 2 or 3 things, you will get on the floor. So he did those 2 or 3 things, and that was his focus. That's it. Like, I was told, if I want to play, do these rebound, defend, play hard. Okay, well, I'm going to go rebound, defend, and play hard. And when the ball comes to me on offense, I'm getting it to somebody that's
I can go
being asked
rebound,
to do
defend,
something.
and play hard.
Right. So, Josh has got to get over that and understand that, like, you're on the floor, man. Go make plays. But that's an opportunity for Ray to move up the depth chart if he's better at those things. But as far as a generalization, is there any one area? No. He's got to get better at all of the things, which is what a freshman has to do, especially on a roster that doesn't have a lot of holes. Like, there's not a lot of chance to sneak up this roster to playing time right now,
barring injury, heaven forbid.
Sure.
If David Bell was Wes Miller in the Bearcats hoops program had progressed and performed like the Reds, all things considered, what grade would you give David Bell?
I love you, Killer V. Why do you do this to me? If the basketball team's under 500 at the halfway point of the season next year, the grade will be a D or an F. How's that?
Hey, under 500, but it's still a really good chance at making it to the
they don't have
the
a really
postseason,
making it to the playoffs. No.
I mean, I feel like every team does at this point of the year. But yeah,
I'm watching this team play nightly right now. They do not have a good chance at that.
They just picked up a dub tonight. That's good.
Okay, great, super.
But yeah, no, I agree. If things are trending in the wrong direction, like who knows? They were super hot, but maybe that just means you're beating all the bye game teams in the non-conference, and then the Big 12 slate comes along, and you start to get picked off at first a bunch, and have guys making other errors here and there, and starting certain players that you don't think should start at times, and just kind of different things along those lines.
I'm just going to say it. If David Bell was Wes Miller, then I think Chad's grade for David Bell would be BFF.
Best friends forever?
Just saying.
I did like how Eddie threw out a shout out to the coolest college basketball coach in the country.
He did. Who is standing out in the summer who's standing out in the summer practices? Any surprises?
I've only been to 3, so I mean, we've gone over it every time that I've been there. That content is on the board and in the podcasts. I don't want to go over another. That's a 30-minute segment that we've already done multiple times.
Stay tuned. It will continue to develop.
Yes.
And the last portion of the mailbag. The skin still is no. He's just not.
He just quit. He just
not
quit.
with us.
He quit.
How we have that
He
as
didn't
a
give
rule.
it 2 weeks notice. He just quit.
Did he just not renew his membership so he can't access the banks? I'm not sure.
That might be it.
Maybe
The banks is free, I believe.
it's VIP.
Only?
That's the way you set it up.
Skins.
Well,
In honor of a Game 7 tonight, best memory of a Game 7 you witnessed, best Game 7 ever, and what would be the equivalent to a Game 7 in college basketball or college football? You don't have an equivalent because that's the way they set it up.
the equivalent of a Game 7 in college basketball or football would be Cincinnati beating Memphis for a 4th time to go to the Final Four.
Okay.
They swept the series.
That's good.
That's
Not,
memory of a Game 7.
not necessarily a Game 7. Then it would be a sweep.
It's a
Clean
4-game sweep, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's the
I mean,
first
I'm
thing
not
that
a
came to mind.
I'm not a big Cubs fan, but that series against the Indians was pretty fun to watch. Well, now the Commanders, but I mean not.
I
the
mean,
Commanders,
it
Guardians.
gotta be was no. Kirk Gibson wasn't Game 7, was it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Just
Best Game 7 I ever witnessed, not in person, but on TV, was probably Cleveland Golden State. That to get the first LeBron Cleveland championship.
That was Game
2016.
1. Kirk Gibson was Game 1.
Okay, yeah. Heck, I think tonight's Game 7's ended up to be a pretty doggone good one, from what I've seen.
Joe Carter was Game 6. That was my other fallback. I don't know. I got nothing.
Yeah, I think you're right with the chase down block by LeBron, and then the defense of Kevin Love on Curry, the three from Kyrie. That's one to remember.
It's definitely up there. It's up on the short list for sure.
Yeah.
Red Sox. I wasn't alive. I mean, I wasn't alive for that one yet, but that Game 7 was big only because the rest of the series was so dramatic. I don't think Game 7 was as dramatic. I've only experienced one championship in my life, and that was a Red sweep in 1990. So every other Game 7 is just kind of TV fodder for me.
Non-championship Game 7. I mean, that opened up a whole different Pandora's box, but I mean, I keep on just thinking about NBA. I don't know. I think I'd stick with the two that I mentioned. Good picks, Aaron. Good picks. And I can you guys see me? My computer's acting so weird. I can't.
We can see you. You're good.
Yeah, we can see you. You're good.
That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
You know what, guys? What a fantastic time that we just had tonight. It's a Monday filled with great in-depth breakdowns of one of the most probably kind of confusing aspects in the entire sports landscape, if you will. Eddie Taylor. Shouts, of course, to the whole NIL. It's a big win bringing home what they were able to bring home over the weekend. And you know what? Shouts to Eddie for coming on, really spilling a lot of good information to on a topic that a lot of people probably have a lot of questions about. And then on top of that, shouts to our boy Danco Transmission Auto Care. Shouts to Quick Paper Supply. Shouts to New Riff. And shouts to my guys, the pals, the squad, the crew. Miss you, Ryan, but Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, fantastic job tonight. But for everyone who listened in and for Aaron Smith and Chad Brendel, I am Brent Young. Yet another fantastic BBP. presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.